Hey, One More Story listeners, thanks for tuning in to another episode. Just a quick programming note, if you want to skip ahead to the first story, you can find it at the 8-minute mark. And also a disclaimer, we recorded this episode at the beginning of the writer's strike and well before the SAG strike, and Brandon's appearance on the show was not at the request of any corporate overlords. We support the strike here and hope it comes to a resolution that results in fair compensation for writers and actors who just want to make a living wage. Anyway, sit back, relax, and enjoy tonight's episode. Welcome to One More Story. My guest tonight is Brandon Scott. He's an incredibly talented actor, writer, producer, musician, and unequivocally one of the nicest people I've ever met. Brandon, welcome to the show, man.
Oh, man, I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm glad you agreed to do this. You're busy.
Somewhat here and there, but dude, you've always struck me as an extremely nice person, very talented, and I would love to be a part of whatever you got going on. So thanks for the invitation.
Of course, and we finally actually get to work together.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. How many years? 10 years? Anyway, that's another story.
That's
another
story.
Bedtime story.
Oh, is it though? That makes me sleepless. You also founded a theater company, right? Are you still actively involved in that?
Oh, yes. Theater that pays nothing, but is just the love of my life. Yeah, I actually have involved with 2 theater companies in LA. One's called I Am a Theater, which is doing really well. And then the other one's called Ammo Theater, which is, we're still figuring some things out. But I think we, with both theater companies, we do some really exciting work in the LA community. And it's just kind of great to, amidst the film and TV world, to continue to get back on the stage and have that community to create with and also experiment with, fall on your face with, things like that.
Tell me a little bit about Verbal and Icarus, because you're also a very talented musician. I really don't know how you have time for all of this, but tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, music is one of those things I feel I've tried to quit so many times. And I just always find myself, I'm writing songs, I'm playing music. It's a great outlet for me, great way to express myself. So I've been in like boy bands and things like that since I was in high school. I actually had a Boys to Men type band that we would go around to different schools, do singing Valentines. We actually opened for Destiny's Child, but we were like, when this was back before they were really Destiny's Child, because I'm from Alabama. And so they were going around the South. And we were like the opener. You know what I mean? So hardly anyone was there. It was at the Birmingham State Fairgrounds. But we had this like 4-part harmony band that we tried to dance. And we had a manager at one point. Anyway, so fast forward to I'm out here and an actor friend, Malcolm Barrett. He's on Timeless. He's been in a lot of things. He's a rapper and we went to college together. And one day I was sharing some of my music with him and he just started rapping over it. And then he said, "We're going to create a band." And I said, "Okay." And then next thing you know, he's like put together musicians. And next thing you know, we're recording our own album. It's all very indie. And we first started as a band called Sin City. And this was before, I guess, kind of branding yourself was a big thing. So then when we started putting ourselves on the internet, we realized that there's a lot of Sin City stuff out there. It was kind of hard to differentiate ourselves from Vegas or the Sin City movie. So then he goes by Verbal, I go by Icarus. So then we changed our name to Verbal and Icarus. And we've just been putting out some music here and there and performing around LA. And it's a fun little side gig to have.
I love that. Well, I enjoyed your karaoke in Dead to Me.
That was fun. I love any opportunity to kind of, whenever we get these opportunities to mix all our loves together into one thing, acting, music. I do martial arts. I'm waiting for the day I can do like a musical martial arts film or something where I'm like this band leader who just also has some really cool ninja skills. That would be really awesome. And maybe I could do a little bit of magic in there somehow because I grew up playing a lot of Dungeons and Dragons. And so, a lot of fantasy stuff. That would be the dream right there for anyone who's listening.
You should write that. I mean, it sounds like a weird indie musical with martial arts. I would totally watch that.
Okay, cool.
What have you been up to lately?
Lately, well, I actually, before this strike happened, I was very fortunate. I was actually in New York and I filmed a new series for for Max. It's called Max now, called The Girls on the Bus. It's like a political dramedy. I keep saying, well, it's like West Wing meets, it's not Veep. It basically is this New York Times writer. She followed Hillary Clinton through both of her presidency or her candidacies and wrote a fictional story about that. So it's kind of an absurd look at politics, but it's got humor, it's got drama, it's got love. It's a fun little piece.
Well, I mean, politics is pretty absurd to begin with, so.
Yeah. And some of the stories I was reading, I was thinking, even reading the scripts, and I was saying, "Oh man, this is great television." And then the writer would send me the articles that it was based off of, the real life stories, and I was like, "Oh, whoa, this really happens." Okay, it's great television and great reality. So that's the show.
So you're very busy. You do all these different things, including martial arts, which I just learned. How do you find time to sleep? And when you do, how do you sort of quiet down your mind and settle down and get some rest?
Yeah, I really have to have a bit of a mindful practice about cooling down and preparing for sleep. I read. I try to read at night. I try to turn off my phone or not look at it as often, try to stay off of social media. And then a thing that's been helping me lately is an acupuncturist suggested that before I go to sleep, to help me settle my brain, I just think through the day. I think through all the moments of the day and just kind of replay it in my mind and kind of look at the moments that were nice, the moments where I said, oh, if I were to next time, maybe I could have handled that a bit better or things like that. And usually I only make it to like 11 a.m. and then I'm out. You know what I mean? I don't even make it through the whole day. And so it's really helped me to kind of just, in addition to the just setting away the electronics and reading a bit, then as I kind of start to lay there, just kind of imagine the day. And it's filled me with a lot of gratitude. I find so much gratitude for the day. And then also I find that I sleep through the night better. So that's kind of for the past few months, my latest routine that's helped a lot because I was having a lot of difficulty quieting my mind and getting to sleep. So I think stories like we're about to do also help. I wish you would read me stories, maybe this will be my new practice right here.
It's good. It's effective. It put both my wife and daughter to sleep last night. I played an episode for them. So shall we get into it and see if we can get something recorded that will quiet minds?
Sounds good.
All right. PS5, PlayStation 5. Once upon a time, there was a little boy named Warren, and Warren was addicted to his PlayStation, his PS5. He got it for Christmas one year, and he plays night and day. His parents have tried to enforce screen time rules. They've done their best, but he always finds a way. And he's very persistent. He tends to be kind of an argumentative kid, and he makes good arguments. And he's always negotiating new ways with his parents to get more screen time, whether it's chores around the house or extra reading time. He's bartered his way into tons of screen time. And so what he does is he has one game on the PS5 that he is particularly obsessed with, and it is MLB The Show, the baseball game. And he has gotten so proficient in it. He's played online against people from all over the world, and he has won sort of different tournaments here and there. Well, one day, Warren was playing, and he had been sitting for a good 3 hours. He had not moved, and he needed to take a bathroom break. And he got up, and his legs, of course, were completely asleep. I mean, it was pins and needles just shooting from his toes to his hips. I mean, he could even feel it in his brain. That's how long he had been sitting for. And so he shook it out. He went to the bathroom, and when he came back, there was a notification on his screen that was advertising a MLB The Show tournament, a worldwide tournament. And the winner of that tournament was going to get a chance to play baseball for real in the Little League World Series.
Warren's dream was always to play in real life, but Warren felt he was not equipped to play with the bigger, older kids. That's why he loved playing the video game. And so he thought, maybe this is my chance to actually get to play in real life. But the problem is that Warren, well, not a problem. He felt very confident that he could beat anyone in the world online. But how was he going to prepare for playing in real life if he spent so much time online? So Warren needed to figure out a way to still play for hours and hours in front of his TV, but also not let his muscles atrophy to where he's not ready to actually play the real game. Warren was a very smart person, and he knew that he needed to figure out a way to where he could spend all this time in front of the screen playing the video game MLB Show Live, but then also figure out how he could learn to play baseball in real life so that his muscles didn't atrophy and he could actually compete in the tournament. So Warren, as smart as he was, decided maybe I need to spend less time in front of the screen because I can beat anyone in the world online. But how am I going to learn to play in real life? So Warren goes outside for the first time in a long time during the day. And he sees the grass and he sees the sun, and it's so bright that he runs back inside and slams the door. He was breathing hard and he felt he was about to have a panic attack because it just seemed like such a big world outside, and he felt so safe and comfortable right there on the couch. So he sat down and went online for another 3 hours, got his confidence back up, beat everyone online, and said, okay, I'm going to register for the tournament.
So he did. He registered, but he still had the physical issues that he had to get through because, again, he was super proficient online, but he hadn't really done anything athletic in quite some time. He's what we call a couch potato. So one day at school, he went to his best friend, Daniel, and Daniel was the best athlete in the entire grade. And he said, Daniel, I need you to help me train for this baseball tournament. And Daniel looked at him. He's like, what do you mean a baseball? He's like, you're a pasty gamer who rarely gets outside. What are you talking about? A baseball tournament. When did you start playing baseball? He said, well, here's the thing. I haven't yet, but they're doing this contest with MLB The Show, and the winner of this worldwide contest, which I'm very confident I will take first place because it's literally the thing I'm the best at in life. The winner gets a chance to play in the Little League World Series. You know, these are 11-year-old kids, and, you know, some of the kids in the Little League World Series are going to be, 12 and 13. And Warren was not an athletic kid, and he was kind of small. And Daniel kind of laughed at him, and he said, well, we've got a long way to go here then. I want you to get to school tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. because we're going to begin training.
And Warren said, okay, Daniel, I'll be there at 5 a.m. Warren was so excited. He went home and he sat on the couch and he turned on the PS5 and he played and he played and he played. And next thing you know, he fell asleep on the couch and his alarm was going off. It's at 6 a.m. Warren sprung up. Oh no, I played all night. I missed my opportunity. So he ran out the house. He got on the school bus, and his normal time, which is, I guess kids get to school around 7, got there at 7 and went out to the baseball field. Daniel wasn't around. He went to his class, looked for Daniel. Daniel wasn't there. He went to lunch, didn't see Daniel. Eventually he ran into Daniel in the hallway and he was like, Daniel, I'm so sorry, man. And Daniel said, Warren, I go to bed early, man. I wake up early, man. I take this so seriously. Don't waste my time, Warren. I was here for you. If you want me to be here, I need you to take this seriously. And then Warren said, okay, I hear you. I promise you, I will be here tomorrow at 5 a.m. Give me one more chance. Daniel said, okay, it's going to be a lot of hard work. I need you to get serious. And Warren said, I promise. That night when Warren went home, he only ate protein. He ate his dinner on time. He did his chores. But then the couch was calling him. He actually heard the couch calling him. It said, Warren, sit on me. You know you want to play. And then the PS5 came to life and said, Warren, play. It's time to go online. But Warren, he put the pillow over his head and said, no, I need to go to bed. Couchy, I need to go to bed. PS5E. That was their names, PS5E and Couchy. And they said, Warren, come on, just one game. And Warren, in that moment,
got up and he started walking to the couch and the PS5. And then he stopped suddenly and he could hear Daniel's voice in his head. It said, I need you to take this seriously. And he sighed. He said, I know, Daniel. Even though Daniel wasn't there, it was just the voice of Daniel inside of his head. But in that moment, instead of picking up his controller, he started doing jumping jacks. He started doing burpees. He had never done burpees in his life. He didn't even know what they were. He was a young boy possessed by the drive to be an exceptional athlete. He was doing all sorts of crazy calisthenics, tumbling through the playroom. It was like a spark had been ignited within him, and he broke a sweat. He hadn't sweat in 7 years. There was one particular hot day where the AC went out and he got worked up while he was gaming and he broke a sweat then, but he hadn't really earned a sweat. And it felt so good. It felt so good to just earn that sweat. So eventually he tuckered himself out and he just passed out on the floor. Well, he heard some early morning birds chirping around 4:30 a.m. He got up, he shot up, he grabbed a protein bar and a banana, shoved it in his face, washed it down with some water, some coconut water for electrolytes, because I think there are electrolytes in coconut water. It's good for hydration, good source of potassium in the banana, all things that an athlete needs. And he ran out the door and he hopped on his scooter. He didn't have a bike, he had a scooter. He was a scooter guy, he wasn't a bike guy. So he hopped on his scooter, he got to school, and there was Daniel. And Daniel was like in full baseball garb, cleats, bat, glove, the pants. He even had eye blacks on underneath, and Warren was like, whoa, it's like 5 a.m. I mean, do you really? He's like, yeah, it's part of the thing. Just, you gotta work with me here. He's like, you're gonna start your training. He's like, all right, give me a bat. I'm ready to hit some balls. And he goes, no. You gotta crawl before you walk. We're gonna do wind sprints, followed by suicides. Warren was like, oh my God, Daniel, I'm so exhausted. I actually, believe it or not, I was inspired by what you said, and I did a little bit of a workout last night instead of playing. And so I think I'm pretty good. I think we can just like get right into, hitting some home runs and throwing some sliders and, whatever it is that you guys do, IRL, in real life, right? That's what we say. So anyway, let's get right to it. And Daniel kind of laughed and he's like, yeah, no, that's not how this works. So go, run. So Warren took off running and he made it about halfway around the track and he just collapsed. He was exhausted. So Daniel came over to him and he said, all right, Warren, I really don't think this is for you. I mean, you can't even make it halfway around the track. And there are some people in life who are destined to sit on a couch and play the games that other people make. And then there are some people that are destined to just be awesome athletes. And that's what I am. And maybe you're just not like me. So good luck. And I hope it works out. But I don't think I'm the guy to train you. So Warren went home that day and he was devastated. And he was about to sit back on the couch and play the PS4 when
he got an alert on his phone about the tournament, the online tournament, that said the biggest challenger of the online championship is Daniel. That was his name, Daniel. And Warren was like, Daniel, that's my best friend. That's why he doesn't want to train me. He's trying to sabotage me. And Warren saw it all so clearly. And he believed in himself. And he said, I need some extra help. And so he goes to his parents. He knocks on their door and wakes them up and says, I know I've tricked you into letting me spend all this time in the PS5. I know I told you that it was good for hand-eye coordination. I know I told you that it would teach me all these skills. I know I told you this and that, and I tricked you, and I made you believe, and you guys gave in all the time. And I just want to say that I'm sorry. And I know you've been trying to tell me to go out and play in the real world, but I was scared of the real world. I'm scared of Daniel. I'm just scared, and I need your help. And his parents had never seen Warren like this. They had never seen this vulnerable side of Warren. And little did Warren know that both his parents almost made it to the major leagues. And they had been waiting for this moment. They themselves had forgotten about their love for the game of baseball because they never thought that they could pour this love into their child, and they never could relate to the video game. So they put together a regimen to train young Warren in real life. Warren did jumping jacks that night with his dad. Warren did backflips with his mom. Warren ran out and got the paper and ran back in and ran out and got everyone's paper and delivered it all over the neighborhood. Warren got on his scooter and was able to lift it above his head after many tries. Warren was starting to get physically, maybe not in the best shape, but he was starting to feel a bit confident about his abilities. And his parents sat him down and said, Warren, it doesn't even matter if you win in the little league, major league thing that you'll get if you win the online tournament, just as long as you play and give it your best. So we want you to just have fun. And when Warren heard that, he stopped worrying so much. And he said, you know what? I might not have all the answers right now, but I think I have a new outlook on where I want to go and how I can balance my life and the things that I'm missing when I just sit on the couch and play video games all day. And this time when he opened the door and saw the bright sunlight and he saw the grass and it kind of tickled his allergies a bit, he said, you know what? This is part of it. I can find the balance. So he went to school. He saw Daniel. He said, I know you've been trying to sabotage me. And Daniel was like, whoa, Warren, come on now. I mean, what you talking about? He said, it's okay. I know you're excited about it too. And hey, Daniel, if you want to, have some online tips, I can give you some online tips and help you out. And Daniel had never experienced this type of kindness. He was such a competitive athlete. It was all about him. Even though he was on a team, he always made the team about himself because he was a superior athlete. He had never experienced competition give him kindness. And Daniel went down on his knees and started crying. And he was like, you're too kind, Warren. You're too good for this world. And Warren said, no, Daniel, we're all learning.
And then it came time for the online tournament. And Daniel was home in his house playing. Warren was home at his house playing. And the two of them, you could see, if this was a movie, it'd be a quick montage of them advancing through the different rounds. And there'd be some upbeat music at this time. And sure enough, Daniel and Warren were the two finalists at the end of the tournament. It was the day before the finals, and they were at school. And they now had this new bond because Daniel had seen the kindness in Warren, which softened his hard, icy shell a bit. He thawed a bit that day when Warren showed him kindness. And the two decided that they were going to play each other in the same room. And they were, no matter what happened, they would walk away as friends. Well, Warren brought all of his stuff over to Daniel's house because Daniel's parents had a much bigger place and faster Wi-Fi. It made a lot more sense. So they were over there. The tournament was starting. Some friends came over too to watch. I mean, it was kind of an event. It was a spectacle. PS5, Sony had even sent like a camera crew, right? Because they were going to make TikToks and YouTube shorts and Instagram reels out of this. This was great for social media. And the boys had always just played by themselves, alone in their rooms. And they were nervous with all this added attention, this media firestorm. And so they started playing, and they were both playing terribly, and it was all over the place. They were walking in, guys with the bases loaded. Their pitchers couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. Their batters couldn't swing the bat. It was awful. It was like the worst they'd ever played, and they could tell there was a palpable disappointment in the room, especially from the Sony execs, because they were here for a show. I mean, the game is called The Show, and people expect a show, and these boys, they're playing so terribly that it's embarrassing for this giant company. And there were so many negative reactions online. They were live streaming this, and it was too much for these boys. And it got to the point in the fourth inning, it was only the fourth inning, where both of them looked at each other, and they were both miserable. And they both looked at each other, and they nodded their heads, and they stood up. And they walked through the crowd of their friends. They walked past the camera crew. They walked past the very stern Sony execs, the stiff suits in the room. And they walked out the front door. And Daniel grabbed 2 baseball gloves and a baseball out of his garage. And they had a catch. And the 2 boys never looked back again. The end. Brandon Scott, are you ready for your solo story?
Okay.
The word for your solo story is, well, it's 2 words. It's amazing puppy, not just a regular puppy, an amazing puppy.
This is the story of Roro, the amazing puppy. Once upon a time, there was a litter of puppies. It was the largest pack anyone had ever seen of puppies. They were all Ridgeback puppies. There were 20 of them, and they were all wanting attention from their mother. And there was one runt of the pack. He was the last one born, the smallest born, and oftentimes he did not get the food that he needed. He did not get the attention from his mother or the attention from the owners because he was always lagging behind. And everyone thought, oh, poor Roro. He will be what he will be. But Roro had an indomitable spirit. Roro knew that he was destined for amazing things. Usually Ridgebacks, they're supposed to have this perfect ridge on their back, their show ridge. They're supposed to have these exotic features, but Roro was actually ridgeless. So when it was time for people to get the puppies, everyone overlooked Roro because everyone wanted the best looking show ridges that they could put in the annual show. So eventually all Roro's brothers and sisters left, and Roro was left there by himself with his mother. His mother was a world-class Ridgeback, champion, multi-generation champion. And she said, Roro, honey, you know what? These judges, they've been judging off the same criteria for years. You be you, Roro. And Roro said, okay, I'm gonna be the number 1 Ridgeback dog in the world. So Roro knew that in order to do that, he'd have to really find a lot of confidence, but also he'd have to learn all the commands. He'd have to groom himself because he didn't have a normal handler to teach him everything. And his mom was like, look, I only speak dog, okay? I don't speak English. I don't speak human. You're going to need to find yourself an owner. So Roro realized that he needed a groomer or a handler or an owner, aka a best friend. So Roro decided to set out to find this person. Roro packed up his bag, which was a little bit of food, a couple of his favorite beef treats, his favorite toy, a little squeaky ball, and then also a clicker, because he knew that's how he was going to find the owner, whoever knew how to use the clicker to teach him how to be a championship dog. Roro left in the middle of the night, said goodbye to his mom, and set out on the road. He didn't know where he was going. He didn't speak any human. He only spoke dog. On the way, he met a couple of stray dogs, and they said, oh, you're looking for an owner? So are we. And he said, well, maybe we can go find an owner together. And they said, we've been out here on the road, wanderless for a long time, ownerless for a long time, lost hope. And Roro said, don't lose hope. You're amazing. Everything that you bring, you're unique. Everything that you bring into this world, it's awesome. And just because other people don't see it, someone's going to see it. And these dogs said, wow, I haven't thought about that in a long time. I haven't seen myself like that in a long time. Maybe I can go find someone. And so they all got together and they went out searching for Roro's owner, but also their own new owners. And on the way, they met some other dogs, some other stray cats. They met some birds. They met all sorts of lizards and insects and creepy crawlies. And next thing you know, Roro was leading this amazing group of multi-species animals on the 5 heading down from San Bernardino all the way to Los Angeles, city of dreams. Eventually there was the people who catch stray animals. Can't think of their names right now, but they're called the animal catchers. They drove on the road and they heard about these wild animals headed for Los Angeles. And they said, we can't have all these strays in Los Angeles. It's not good for the community. And so they set out to catch Roro and his group. Roro and them were alerted that there was this van looking for them. But then they said, hey, we're going to help you find homes. But Roro and them, they said, we can find our own homes on our own because we believe in ourselves. When the animal catchers heard, even though they didn't speak human or they didn't speak animal or dog, when they could tell that Roro was they could sense his conviction and they saw all the other animals, all they wanted to do was get to a place to find a home and find people who loved them and people who would teach them. The animal catcher said, okay, we'll help you. So then they actually gave them a ride into the city. And on the way, they started helping on social media to put out ads to say, hey, there's this ridgeback, this ridgeback, and there's this cat, and there are these other dogs, and there are these other animals right here who need loving homes, or there are people out there who want to take these animals in. And they started getting responses. At first, there was a few, and next thing you know, they were flooded because everyone heard about this amazing puppy that set out from San Bernardino all the way down to Los Angeles and brought along his friends. But this one particular person who ran the dog show heard about this puppy and heard that this puppy was trying to enter the dog show. And Roro was getting all this social media attention. And everyone was, he had millions of followers now. People were donating money to his fund to enter the championship. And this older person did not want Roro to change the ways of the dog championship. But Roro eventually found a little girl who bonded with him. Her name was Sally. And Sally was the granddaughter of this lady. And her name was Miss Marjorie. Miss Marjorie, the tournament lady. And Sally was her granddaughter. And Sally brought Roro to her grandmother, Miss Marjorie. And Miss Marjorie was like, what? That thing. I've heard everybody talk about that thing on social media. That's not a ridgeback. That's a ridgeless dog that wants to be a ridgeback. And Sally said, wait, but look at how quickly it learns. He learns. Roro. It's not an it, it's a he. And Sally showed her mom or her grandmother how Roro could sit. And she clicked the button and Roro sat. And she said, I didn't even teach him this. And then she says, Roro, jump. And Roro jumped. And she said, Roro, play dead. And Roro rolled over and played dead. And she said, Roro, go get the paper. And Roro ran out and grabbed the paper. And Miss Marjorie was amazed. How did this ridgeback learn so much without being taught? And Sally said, because of all its friends. It learned from the world. He learned from the world. He's experienced the world. He's been out there and he met all these people, all these different types of animals, and all these animals taught him something because he realized he could learn something from everything and everyone. And he didn't just want to learn from one human or other ridgebacks. He wanted to learn from them all. And Miss Marjorie had never thought of such a thing. And she had never thought that there were so many wide perspectives out there, that this dog could learn. And so then she opened up the dog show to all sorts of dogs. She wasn't just a Ridgeback enthusiast. She was like an animal enthusiast, a humanist. And they let Roro enter the championship. And of course, Roro was the most amazing puppy and won everything. And one day, Roro went back and met the rest of his brothers and sisters and told them that story. And they all said, hey, we knew you had it in you. That's why we ate all the food and everything, because we knew you were going to be all right, Roro. You were going to be all right. And Roro, the amazing puppy, was.